One of the things I have come to understand, or what I think is more of an understanding around, is that when I first got into this, I knew I needed to get a ton of information. Any job you're in, there's nothing you can do that doesn't require a degree of training. And this, obviously, no different. Nobody, I think, would come into this thinking you needed it. But the significant amount of advice that I would receive from every which source, whether that was somebody I knew, somebody I didn't know, somebody in the industry, or somebody who's never known this industry existed really, had thoughts, had opinions, and had directions of what I needed to do to make my business work. Some good, some questionable, but all of it has given me a degree of a higher level of understanding of what I'm doing. I'm Andrew. I'm a full time voice actor, and I have received so many points of advice from so many people. Let's talk about that. I'm just kind of winging it. Okay, so when I first got into voice acting, got into this business, I've said this before, a ton of assumptions coming into this. I had assumptions of what I would need to learn, where I would need to learn it, so on and so forth. I had so many assumptions, and you will too, with whatever you're going into. We're all just a product of our assumptions in so many ways. I did not realize the significant amount of assumptions I would need to manage from people who've never been part of this industry before, from people who may have had some really good business information, which I'm currently craving to digest and chew on and think and learn more from the business management side of this industry. New year, right? Taxes are coming up. I registered as an LLC last year. I've never been an LLC before. I don't know how to do that. So, finding people outside of voice acting has for that information has been good, but I was surprised at how many people had a thought or opinion or more significantly advice or tried to offer advice with all the best intentions, I believe, but it was more deflating than inflating for me. It was more, I was receiving it so much as like negative criticism, or it didn't challenge me to do better. It was challenging me to stay with it in a lot of ways. And that's obviously there's a lot to be said. And there were so many different instances that I could think of, but wanting to just sort of talk through, you will come into this with your assumptions. Yes, we know that. But you're also going to need to manage the assumptions, thoughts, and beliefs of others. And maybe that's a close family member, maybe that's a close friend, maybe it is a complete stranger on the internet who you do something and they see it and then they have just a ton of critiques. You'll have to manage the perspective of others on you and what you do. And I was in a webinar with the amazing Gina Scarpa. If you've never heard of her, she is a fantastic, fantastic voice talent and such a gracious teacher of things. And it was a free webinar that we were in. And she was kind of just talking through some ways to not burn out at the end of last year. And I loved it because if you heard my tone, my demeanor, and some of this, it's hard to have been in this for as long as I have, a full year doing this and trying to find the quantifiable things that say you're doing the dang thing. You're moving forward. You're taking the right steps. You just gotta persevere. You just gotta keep marching forward. Like Dory said, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. And I'm trying to just keep swimming. If when I take my first one step, okay, great. Hang out here as long as you need, but consider what that next step's going to be and take it. So all that's I loved Gina's course on just how to not burn out, how to stay motivated. I've got a phenomenal group of people who have been interacting with me who cheer me on and give me that motivation. Like I want to one, I don't want to let myself down, but two, I don't wanna let them down. Like, I've found people who are willing to challenge me, and it's like, great. Like, I'm excited to be challenged by them. I was in this webinar, and one of the things Gina said that has just kinda clung to my mind and is currently like a, I don't wanna say mantra, but good motivation, good, I kinda wanna get it printed and slapped onto the wall here so I can read it every so often. But she said, "If this person does not they're not making your money. You are the one that's making your money. If they're not getting you your money, take what's valuable from their information and leave the rest behind." I'm loosely quoting because, again, concepts. I'm not a direct quoter. I suck at it. I'm so sorry, Gina, if I've completely taken that out of context. But that concept, you're not making my money. I am making my money. You are not in charge of my finances. I am in charge of my finances. One of the things that I was a core, I don't know, belief business model. It was something last year I spent too dang long, too dang long through the year believing I didn't need to be on any pay to plays, believing that I could just direct market and I would come out on top. I would be able to start deliverables, yada, yada. And albeit that information was embedded into me from sound places, sound teachers, podcasts, YouTube videos, TikToks, forums. I was scouring everything, and so many things were saying pay to plays are not the thing. Stay off of those. There was a persona, a voice, and there are so many different voices in this landscape, obviously, but there were voices that were saying, if you do that, XYZ, you're gonna get blacklisted from agents, from casting directors, nobody's gonna wanna hire you. Or if you go to this pay to play, the industry doesn't respect it. You're going to look so bad to everyone. No casting director's gonna want you. If you put this out there, you're really just promoting other voice talent and not yourself. And I spent too long letting that shape, mold, and direct my business path. So many people say this industry is not entirely about the microphone. It's about auditioning. The job is not acting as much as it's auditioning. And there's a degree of I do believe that the amount of auditions you put at will reflect what sort of jobs you can get. If I don't audition, I don't get jobs. So a lot of this job is the auditioning. And when I let myself listen so much to this voice that was saying, don't get on the pay to plays, I didn't have the opportunity to audition. Direct marketing has been tough. Like I said last episode, I have a tough time promoting myself, but I'm still doing it. Today has been a big LinkedIn marketing day where I'm reaching out to new contacts on LinkedIn saying, hey, I saw you're in the creative industry. I love finding creatives on here. I would love to add you on and be a resource if it's ever needed. Can't wait to see updates from your network. If you ever need me, give me a shout. Cheers. Something like that. I'm doing that for my marketing, and that's been great, but it's not getting me any auditions. I'm putting my name out there. I'm getting to know people. I'm building relationships and trying to network, but it's not landing me auditions yet. And honestly, it may never. It may be it comes in different formats, and I'm going to keep on trying. I'm going to keep pushing forward, but I'm not getting a ton of auditions that way. So if the job is auditioning, spending a year direct marketing and trying to get in with places, I know I need to get better about marketing and like finding the right people, the right resources, the right spots to talk to, the right people to talk to. I know I need to get better there. But if I can't audition for anything, I'm not actually doing the job the way it needs to get done. When I first came into this, I was one of the pay to plays that I was told about was VO Planet. This one was created by voice actors for voice actors. They only have jobs that are within GVAA rate guidelines. If you're not familiar, GVAA is kind of a standard that a lot of people use for the rate guide, giving you industry standards to kind of go by. It's great to shape your pricing off of that. Fantastic too. It does pay fair rates. but don't feel like if it's not paying exact numbers that you're seeing on there that it's not a good job. Figure out your business and your money is your money. Like I said earlier, if they're not making you your money, you get to decide it. I think it is important. I don't want to get it twisted or anything like that. It is important to consider what fair rates are because you deserve to be paid fair rates. And you can create and shape that based off of what you need, what your business needs to be. And I love that, honestly. It's intimidating and scary, but I love that. I came into this VO Planet website because that was my mindset. That was what I was given, was this is GVA, yada, yada. So I jumped on there. Been a great site. I've enjoyed it. I've gotten to get experience in auditioning, in promoting myself, and playing around with it. However, that has not yielded a ton of auditions. I get very few auditions, maybe 7 a week that I would feel comfortable with going for. And that's nowhere near enough. And that's on a good week that I can get 7 a week on there. And that's nowhere near enough to say I'm doing the job. I also had a membership for a short amount of time on Voice 123. That website, once you drop in their rankings, it is so hard to get out of it. So approach that one with caution. Understand how it works. There's a lot of resources for how to work the algorithm in your favor. Do that, because I had about 5 auditions. I got a like, which my wife and I partied. We celebrated like, oh my God, I got a like. This was early on in my career in this. So I was hyped. I was excited. But once I got that like and all these other auditions that I didn't get a like on, I tanked. I went into what I hear called the basement, and I could not get back out of it. For a year, I had a $50 membership there because it was the lowest possible one you can get, which I've heard is not really worth it, whatever. But I had this $50 membership, I tanked, and I got no more auditions until my my subscription lapsed. And now I'm on their free version, and I'm getting so many more auditions because they eventually fall off after a year. The one I was avoiding for so long was voices.com. Every which podcast, every which YouTube video industry professional was saying, that's the one you don't get on. Don't get on Voices. Don't get on Voices because they take advantage of their actors. They're not in it to benefit anybody other than themselves. You're going to get on there and all these things, all these terrible horror stories were told to me about it, and I bought into them. And I'm not saying that 100% of the statements said were invalid statements. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is you got to do what's good for your business. At the end of last year, they had a phenomenal deal, and I was able to get into voices.com on a membership, and it did not cost me much money at all in comparison to what their normal cost is. I think they're like, I want to say $300 or something, and I was able to get into it for $99. I was like, I'd be foolish. Even if I don't want to be on this website, I'd be foolish to not take advantage of it and try. So I paid that $99, and now I'm on there. And I have gotten so many auditions. Now, I'm not optimized yet. I'm still trying to re-optimize. They changed their algorithm at the beginning of this year, so I have more to learn and more to press forward with. And I've got a ton of auditions I can do there. And if the job is auditioning, I feel like I'm moving in that direction. The reality is, do what you need to for your business. There is no imaginary blacklist. There is no you'll do this and you've ruined your chances. So many people will say all the things you're going to do that's just going to crash the plane and, oh, you've lost all wind out of your sails. You're never moving forward. Well, here's the thing. The wind is loose. You're going to have a lot of really good forward momentum moments, and you're going to have a lot of slow moments. It's just a cyclical thing. Like, you're going to have some amazing hype times and some boring, I'm going to figure out what I need to do times. And all this is to say, don't write any of the opportunities off. Voices isn't going anywhere. They wrote the frickin' book, Voice Acting for Dummies, I learned. Like, the people who started voices.com are the ones who made this book that I'm now reading through. I didn't know that when I first got it. Now I'm reading through it and I'm like, "Oh, you're the Voices people." They have such really good information on their website. Why would you throw that all away? I'm saying this to myself. Why would you throw that all away? Why did you spend so long last year thinking you could do this without the resources that are available? Voices isn't going anywhere. Voice 123 is not going anywhere. These pay to plays are here to stay. Why not learn how to work within them or within the industry, however you need? But ultimately, whatever you choose, do it smart. Understand how these algorithms work because I never realized, again, I've talked earlier in this about how I want to get better at the business side of this. I need to learn how algorithms work. And that's weird. It's weird. And I'm trying now. But I spent too long avoiding it because, I don't know, I believed I could without it. But I'm gonna take the opportunities that I get now. I'm not going to just write something completely off because I believe I don't need it. I want to continue to take steps forward and not stand still because I'm too scared to take a certain path. Towards the end of my last career and across my entire life, I'm all about taking aggressive ownership of my actions, of the circumstances that are surrounding me for pleasant and unpleasant, like good and bad. Like it's not always been incredibly beneficial, but when it comes to I'm managing my own business, I want to take extreme ownership of that. I want my successes to be my successes. I want my failures to be my failures. And when I fail, I want to learn and be responsible for what's next and how am I going to fix it. Um, yeah, aggressive ownership of that, of my learning, of my teachings, of my everything. And I've loved getting thoughts, opinions, and advice. I really have. But at the end of the day, I need to make sure that every single piece of information that comes to me, every single video I watch, or conversation I have, or phone call that is offering me tips, tricks, and you know what you ought to do's, I need to make sure I manage that through a lens that says, this is my business. I am the one making my money, and I am grateful for the information I'm receiving, but that's not always going to be something I take and use and say, this is now canon for part of the business setup. I might get advice from everyone, but so many of them are giving advice with the best intentions. I want to both receive the information and weed through what I can use and what I can't, because at the end of the day, I'm the one who's making me money in this industry. Take good advice, take beneficial advice that helps elevate you, and honestly, just keep moving forward, keep pressing forward. I tend to get in these podcasts to where I'm starting to ramble a bit at the end because I'm just trying to think through like, what am I feeling right now? What is the thing that's gonna keep me motivated? What do I need to hear right now me say about all the things swimming around in my mind? And the biggest thing is that I just want to cheer myself on. I want to cheer you on in that you will have your own assumptions. You will receive assumptions from other people. At the end of the day, keep marching forward, keep leaning into your resources and people who are part of this industry, who have been doing it for a while, who know and actually believe when they say, you can do this. Take those steps, listen, and do it. Um, that's all I got for this week. I am going to probably play around a bit with I've been doing a lot of TikToks lately and playing around with a chat AI, and AI is a whole nother world of voiceover that's like, I don't understand it, I don't know. But I'm going to keep moving forward with probably some content that talks about my AI discussions with a chatbot and more so on how I've been practicing this year. But I will see you next week, and cool. Make it fun. I'm still working on my sign offs.